So today the claim I'll be responding to is that technology diminishes society in a social, economic, and educational manner, which makes humans solely dependent on it. The secondary claims the advocate had to this original claim is that technology has taken over aspects of our lifestyle. 2, technology has taken over our jobs. And 3, technology has limited society to how much knowledge they can gain in education. So in his first claim, he says that, social networks, dating sites, it kind of limits human interaction and is kind of the main source of interrelationship. When I think of human interaction, I say, face to face, like, see the person like I'm doing right now. But with research, in a report done by R.J. Rummel, who did a paper on social behavior from the University of Hawaii, he states that human interaction occurs when the parties of the social interaction are aware of each other and have each other's self in mind. So I would say that, like when you're on Facebook, commenting on a photo or like, commenting on somebody's status, like say like somebody messaged you and said, oh, my boyfriend broke up with me, or like my mom just died. Like you don't say, oh, sucks for you, sucks to be you. Like you kind of like, you're not gonna say that. You're gonna say, oh, I'm very sorry, because you have that person's feelings in thought. Also about the dating website, he's research done by Dr. Gavin and Dr. Adrian Scott of the University of Bath and Dr. Jill Duffield of the University of the West of Virginia. They conducted an online survey of 229 people aged from 18 to 65 asking about the UK internet dating sites. And the research showed that 94% of those who met online continued a relationship for an average of 7 months. So pretty much that's saying that, like it's not disclaiming that it's people use dating sites to like get into relationships, but like to me it's like a jump start. Like you meet people through it. The advocate's second point was that the news transition from newspaper to internet and how newspaper circulation is falling. In the quote that the advocate has cited from the New York Times, it stated that while the internet is widely cited for the drop-off, the lower circulation figures have resulted in part from a conscious decision by publishers to focus on the most loyal and profitable readers, often raising prices and limiting discounts. So it's saying that the internet is to blame, partially, but it's also that the publishers tend to focus on specific groups, and they also make newspapers more expensive and limit discounts. So it kind of makes the internet more appealing to go to for the news, because you can get the exact same article and it's free. Also, in the exact same article from the New York Times, they stated that there are signs that circulation has started to level off. At the New York Times, an average weekday circulation in the 6 months ending March 21st was up. Compared with a year ago, the Wall Street Journal was up 0.5%, slightly compared than it was 6 months ago. And also that the Arizona Republic circulation in those 2 periods was up 350,000 compared to 316,000. The advocate's secondary claim was that technology has taken over jobs. He says that self-service registers are taking over, cashiering jobs and stuff like that. I'd say my response to that is that, I personally, when I go to Walmart, for self-checkout, you have, like, I only use it for when I have a few items. When I have more than 10 items, you scan it and, like, you kind of have to, like, put it in the bag, like, real quick. Otherwise, pause comes, do you want to bag the item, or there's an unexpected item in the bagging area? And personally, that builds to my frustration. So the value of a actual employee as cashier is actually, better in my certain circumstances for me, and as well as other people. In the same article that in the LA Times that was cited for job losses to self-service registers, it said that Jack in the Box, like, and other chains say that their motives for the registers is to improve service and not reduce staff. So it's kind of like more of like convenience to other people rather than like trying to take jobs from people. In that same claim, his second point was that there was a bank that in one click lost $3 billion, I believe. in Alaska, and I did research on that, and like I found an article from U.S. Today that said that although 9 months worth of applicant information for the yearly payout from the Alaska Permanent Fund was gone, the only backup that wasn't gone was stored in more than 300 cardboard boxes. So pretty much that technology has its own disadvantages, but you're prepared. Like everybody should already be prepared because they know that it's not perfect and that it does have its faults. In the advocate's third claim, he states that technology has limited society to how much knowledge that they can gain in education. There was really no evidence, but mostly inference of how it limits education. He also said that because of like current spell check on Microsoft Word and things like that, you can't really learn how to spell words. In my opinion, it's more of like you get a second, it's like spell check. It's to help you, not to like teach you how, like it's not really meant to teach you how to spell words. But if you misspell a word, you get it, they autocorrect it for you. And you'll still, you'll probably remember how to spell it next time you try to type it up. He also said that calculators, the advancement calculators, limits our math skills. There was a test released by the California Department of Education for Algebra 1 students, and it stated that students should be like, I'm gonna, pretty much advancement, graphing calculators from scientific, that students should graph a linear equation and compute the x and y intercepts. So it's like, you can use a graph calculator, sure, but, the state requires that you know how to graph without the graphing calculator. And through my own personal experiences, I know that, when you don't have a graphing calculator, that, like, the test could be over. But since you have that past knowledge that you can graph without the calculator, it doesn't really matter. And also to touch on the educational matter, like, we all know that technology is, like, growing. So, the things that technology will take over, like now, are jobs, like within education, higher education, college, graduate, and like stuff like that. You can get better jobs, and technology really won't be an issue for how it's taking over your job. So it kind of touches on two different points. And that's it. Thanks.
Can you tell me the time, please?
7:33.
We start off pretty clearly labeling the claim and the secondary points, but I tell you what, during the body of the speech, you labeled the second point of the advocate 3 different times. So I think that there's an inconsistency on your structure. You're still following the order in which these things are brought up, but I'm not sure that your labeling is very consistent. I think that you've got an interesting argument here about defining what human interaction is as a way of responding to this point, but you need to clarify what the impact of your argument is. I'm not sure what the point about the dating site was, how it contrasted to what the advocate said, and what it ultimately means. You need a declarative sentence to make that a lot sharper. On the issue about the news and newspapers, and you get into this whole discussion about circulation and what the cause is. It sounds like the advocate's argument was that the internet and access to information that way is destroying newspapers, and you're in essence saying that the destruction of the newspapers is either self-inflicted or that it is substantially slowed down and in fact seems to be reversal. That's what you need to say. State those as claims. I'm having to infer that from the evidence, and sometimes you interpret it afterwards, but in an oral presentation you want to be direct and upfront and keep those declarative sentences straightforward. And then I said, again, here's another label for a second point, a secondary point. Your argument about the self-checkout is okay in terms of your